Hey everyone, welcome back to my Earth Friendly Kitchen. I'm Maria, your host, and today we are making broccoli cheese soup. This soup I love because it's actually super high in like veggies and nutrients, and it's just so cozy. Like, I don't know if anybody else has had like the cheese soup from like Panera or like gyms. There used to be a gyms in Texas. I don't know if they're still open or not. I haven't been down in forever. But it was just always such like a warm, delicious, amazing soup, and it's super indulgent because it's nice and cheesy, but it is nice and high in veggie counts. So we're just gonna make that today because it is still nice and frigid outside. So therefore, soup season is in full effect. It's actually snowing today, which we weren't expecting. So it's a perfect time to make a delicious, hearty soup. I'm so happy to be back in my own kitchen. We went away last weekend for our anniversary, and we were staying at these cute little cabins called the postcard cabins, which we filmed in. If you guys haven't seen that episode yet, I advise you to check it out. But it was definitely a shift for me and what I'm used to in this kitchen. So I'm very happy to have all my tools back. But it is nice to get away, and it's nice to get away and have the ability to cook, in another location. Because I like to, we like to go to places like that where we can, kind of save some money, not have to eat out every night whenever we're away. Obviously, if you stay at like a traditional hotel, it's a little bit tough. But there are some hotels that have like little kitchenettes that you can, use as well, which is fun. So 10 out of 10 recommend getting out there and doing some travel cooking, if you will. We brought all of our food with us because it was just a short 2-hour drive. So we didn't have to worry about finding a market or anything. I guess that's probably would be the most challenging concept. But anyways, back to the soup. So I chopped up 3 celery hearts, 3 celery stalks, and I just wanted to do a nice fine dice on them. So I'm going to do the same kind of fine dice on these onions because we're going to be cooking these veggies together, and we want them to be fairly uniform. So just a nice chop there. I cut it in the center so it would be nice and thin, and then slices down the front, always tucking your hands in, and then so you get a nice fine little chop, and then we'll repeat on this side. So nice uniform pieces because it helps with cooking, as we always say, and it also helps with aesthetics. But uniformity means everything cooks evenly. So that's what we're hoping for, because we're going to sweat these out for a few minutes before adding everything else in. Okay. Oh, the onions, they're getting me. I still haven't learned the trick, guys. Someone's going to tell me how to learn the trick on how to stop my eyes from watering. All right, so I'm separating these out because they're going to go in first. And then I'm going to separate my carrots and my broccoli because they're going to go in together. So first I'll chop my broccoli. Now, I love broccoli stems in general, like when I'm cooking and sauteing, because I think they just cook up really nice. But for the soup, it really doesn't call for the stems themselves. So I'm going to leave these out and just drop them in my soup bag. This is my scrappy broth bag, for those of you who don't know. I use the scraps of veggies to make my own vegetable broth when it's nice and full. So that's broccoli is going to add some really nice nutritional density to that broth this time around. And we're just going to cut these into small bites because, we don't want it to be big, chunky pieces in soups like we always say. I mean, it's different if you're making like a stew or something like that, but you really just want to have nice kind of bite-sized pieces in a soup. So you're not going to, this can't even fit on a spoon. So, well, I guess if you had a big enough spoon, but regular spoons, it wouldn't fit. So, and then we're just going to chop this up, and this is going to cook. The soup itself, only is going to take about, 15 minutes or so for us to saute up the celery and the onions, and then we're going to once we add the broth and the broccoli and the carrots in, we're going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes, and so we'll take a little bit of a break in the episode to let that happen. And then, you know, once that's done, it's really just about adding the cheesiness to it. And then that'll come together really nicely. So they'll see there's like a little bit of stock that's going to be in the soup, but not those big, big stems that we had. So if you've noticed, I have a new cutting board, guys. My husband got it for me for our anniversary. So it is our 5th anniversary, which is the wood anniversary by, you know, all the traditions, you know, say it's the wooden anniversary. So he got me this beautiful new alpine cutting board, which I'm just in love with. And he got me some bamboo stirring utensils for cooking, and he got me a wooden sign that was really sweet. So anyways, very happy to be using my cutting board for the very first time today. Okay. Ooh, I'm losing my headband. What's happening here? All right. So then we're going to grate our carrots because we want them to be nice and fine. So I'm just going to chop off the tips. Again, we'll throw that in our bag. And I'm going to find the fine grate here on my grater. And I'm just going to grate it like I would cheese or anything, you know. And this is going to nice because kind of the carrots are kind of going to like melt into the soup, which is going to be just, again, like added color, added nutritional density. Great way, like, you know me, I'm not like a super fan of like hiding veggies by any means. But, you know, it's a great way to add a nutritional, you know, increase to a soup that, you know, your kid might not otherwise want to eat, you know, carrots, but it'll just look like more cheese. And I didn't peel these. You could peel them if you want to, but I just washed them really good. From my store because I didn't think since I was grating them aesthetically it doesn't matter, right? You don't need to worry about the grate, I mean the peel if you're just grating them up. So we're just gonna do 2 like medium-sized carrots. If you have like a really big carrot, you can just do 1, or if you have like small carrots, you can do 3. You know, eyeball it, gauge it. Probably get about 2 cups of grate here. And then about 3 cups of the broccoli, 3 or 4 cups of broccoli here. So, and we're going to double use this grater because we're going to grate our cheese next with the larger side of this. So, okay, there we go. So put these chunks in my bag and then kind of scrape this off. Scrape the inside so you get every little bit. And then whoop, right into my bowl, my carrot, broccoli, because they're going to go in at the same time as broccoli. So kind of, you know, like when you're making your setup, you kind of want to put the things together that are going to cook together, you know, so that way it's easy for you to just toss them in. So we've got our carrots and our broccoli and our celery and our onions. All right, now we're going to get our cheese. Now this is extra sharp cheddar. I'm using what I have, so I have this 7 ounces that's the same, but I cut a little piece off because I was a little snacky last night. I wanted some cheese. Now this cheese is from Ireland because, as you may or may not know, I am kind of intolerant to dairy, but I am doing just fine with dairy from Europe, or other places, so not American cheese. So this is imported. You can use just regular old cheddar from America if it doesn't bother your belly. But I wanted to make sure I could eat this because I'm really excited. I haven't had broccoli and cheese soup in a really long time, so I'm excited for it. So I'm just going to grate it up. So 14 ounces. Well, I guess it's about 12 ounces because I cut a little bit off to eat and snack on of extra sharp cheddar cheese. I did extra sharp mostly because my husband says there is no better cheese than extra sharp cheddar. So, and then, well, as far as the cheddars go, he probably think like mozzarella or something is a little bit better than cheddar. Yeah, he's nodding. He's nodding. So I'm going to do all this cheese again for the soup. So this is actually going to go in last because all this has to do is melt right into the cheese. And so obviously If you had a yellow cheddar, it might change like the color of your soup. Like, so the end product may look a little bit different for you, but it shouldn't taste much different. You know, the color of the cheddar, I actually don't know, to be honest. Like how we get white cheddar versus yellow cheddar. I wonder if it's like, I don't know, whatever they add into it, I guess, to make yellow. Because milk is white, right? So you'd think the white cheddar would be the more natural. I'm gonna investigate that, guys. I actually want to answer that question because I've never thought about it before. So, I don't know, maybe you have. Maybe you know the answer. Put it in the comments if you know why some cheddar is yellow versus white. Because I don't know, maybe it's just my lack of knowledge. All right, so we've got about 3 cups of grated cheddar in there. And you could buy store-bought grated as well if you don't have the time and you want to just throw in already pre-shredded cheddar. That's fine. It may take a little bit longer to melt just because remember it has that protective coating around the cheddar to keep it from like melting and sticking together in the store. But yeah, so we have our cheddar, we got our veggies, and we're going to go to the stove and start putting it together. Let's go. We don't need our cheddar for now, so we'll leave that. And then I have my pot. I'm going to turn it on like a medium to high heat. Oh no, doesn't want to light. There we go. Got it. Okay. And medium to high heat because we are going to sweat the veggies. And we're going to do 4 tablespoons of butter. Now the 4 tablespoons is actually very intentional because we are going to be making a roux with some flour to get the soup to thicken up a little bit when it's cooking. And when you make a roux, which is just basically flour and butter, you want to have equal parts. So 4 tablespoons is a 1/4 cup. So that's a good way to think about it. So 4 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to do a 1/4 cup of flour when it's time. Okay? So we'll put this over here too. All right, guys, I think I'm just going to get rid of this because it keeps falling off my head and it's annoying me. So, all right. Sorry if my hair is a little frizzy. That's why I wear those, you know, because curly hair don't care, you know? All right, so I'm just going to melt this down and we're going to add our onions and celeries right in with the butter. It's okay if it's not fully melted yet. It'll melt with the celery and onions. And just coat them up really nicely. And so you're going to sweat these. You're going to sweat them first. And then as these cook, so I'm going to be using some dairy-free milk. It's extra creamy oat milk. It's to me, it's a really nice substitute for regular milk because I can't have regular milk. Also, you know, my husband's not always lactose intolerant. He's like selectively lactose intolerant, which is weird to me, but it's a thing. We looked it up. And so we're just going to use oat milk for the dish. And then I have some vegetable broth because I'm out of my own because you can see my bag is not quite full yet. And I used all my other veggie broth because it's soup season. I make a lot of soups. And then literally the spices are just going to be salt and pepper. And I'm going to try to use, I think it's a good place for my garlic, I'm calling it like garlic dust. I don't know, it sounds kind of weird, but I don't know if you saw that video, but I turned my old garlic peels into some spice flavoring. It just smells like garlic. It just smells so good. But I figured this would be a good place to try out to see how it permeates the flavor, as I haven't used it yet, so I'm excited to try that out. Anyway, just a little touch of garlic, you know, never hurts anybody. All right, so these are nice and melty. And we're not going to cook, you know, we're just going to do this now for a few minutes. And then once the butter's all the way melted, we're going to add the flour. And, you know, some people might say, well, why don't you do that before you put the veggies in? Well, for one, the veggies start to leach out a little bit of liquid, so it helps the roux a little bit in this dish particularly. And for 2, the flour is going to coat the vegetables as well. And so you won't you want to get them started before they're coated because then they don't break down as easily and then you don't get as much flavor out of them as you would before you start. So, fun fact, little tip for you. All right, so we're just going to do a leveled scoop, 1 cup of flour to match our, I'm sorry, 1 cup. Oh my God, that'd be a lot. A 1/4 cup of flour with a 1/4 cup of our butter. 4 tablespoons equals a 1/4 cup, okay? And we're just gonna sprinkle this kind of all around. And you wanna stir this around so that you know you don't have any clumps in your veggies. And we're gonna brown this just a little bit to make the roux. The longer you have flour and butter in a pan with a roux, the darker it's gonna get, the deeper the flavor. Like you wanna, like if you're making like a gumbo or jambalaya or something like that where you use a roux and you want that real deep dark coloring, you're gonna leave that roux in for a lot longer than you would this, because we're just trying to kind of coat the veggies and build that thickening agent, not so much darkening our soup. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, all right, so you can see it kind of absorbed all the butter. Here it's a little bit, you know, looks clumpy, not clumpy, like there's not clumps of flour, but the veggies are clumping together because it's sticking. And I'm constantly moving this around because I don't want it to burn, because a roux can burn very quickly. All right, so that's good. And we're gonna just put in here 3 cups of vegetable broth. So I'm not measuring with the heart today, guys. I'm gonna use a measuring cup. Just because, I don't know, I feel like for this particular soup, I don't want it to be too thin. I don't want it to be too thick. I want it to be just right. So that's 2 cups. I'm just gonna put a little bit in, and that's, you hear that sizzle is kind of, I want to kind of deglaze the pan a little bit and make sure that there are no clumps of flour and it's just vegetables. And then I'm going to add the rest here. Okay, good. And then we'll do 1 more cup. And then remember, as you cook the veggies, a little bit of water is going to leach out of them too. So it's going to add, you know, to this. Okay. All right, great. So you can see there are no clumps. The vegetables have released the flour, but you have that kind of opaqueness to the broth that's going to help thicken everything up really nicely when this is cooking. Okay, and then we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt to this, because this is unsalted broth. If you had salted broth, you'd want to probably taste the level of saline in your dish before adding the salt in. And we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon. We'll do white pepper, because if you guys have been following along, you know what's happened to my black pepper. I don't know. I think someone actually came into the house and stole all my spices because we cannot find my refills. I don't know. I have to give in and buy more, I guess. It just kills me, because there's somewhere in the house and I just don't know where. All right, rant over, sorry. And then now we're gonna add our broccoli and carrots. So everybody in the pool, nice. And we're just gonna push everybody down. And we're going to add a little bit more liquid to this. First of all, like I said, some water is going to leach out, so it's going to bring up the level of liquid a little bit. But also, we're going to add some, milk to this when it's done. So we're just going to make sure everybody's covered, so everybody cooks. And we're going to cover it, bring it up to a boil, and then let it simmer, turn it down. We're going to bring it up to boil, so we're going to turn up the heat just a little bit. And we're going to cover our dish, bring it up to a boil. When it comes up to a boil, we're going to turn it down, simmer for about 10 minutes, and then we'll bring it back in and we'll finish it up and we'll show you how it tastes. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so it has been about 10 minutes. This has been simmering very nicely. So you can see that the water level did rise right from the veggies, but you still have that really nice, beautiful green color from the broccoli. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna add my garlic dust that we created. I feel like I should coin that phrase. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of this and just melt it right into the soup. Okay. And then, oh, that just melts really nicely. Okay, beautiful. All right, and then we're gonna add a cup of milk. Now, some recipes may have this like flipped, where it's like more milk than broth. I think that the broth is really the more important. I don't know, like I think the flavor wise, broth is the better option, you know, to add more of. But that's just my opinion. You could try it both ways, like flip-flopping the recipe if you want to, and see how you like it. That's the good thing about recipes. They can sometimes be flexible. So, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of pecorino, about 1/4 cup. Because it just adds like a little extra umami flavor, which I love about that. So we'll do that. We're going to stir that in. Make up that big chunk. Okay. Get all the way through. Now, the piece de la resistance, the cheese. So again, this is about 3 cups of shredded cheddar. And I'm going to just put in a little bit at a time to help it melt through, because put about half in, let it melt down, get nice and cheesy, and then do the other half. And you'll see like how much creamier this soup gets, you know, by adding, you know, the cheese in. Because it's already a little bit thicker, right, because of the roux that we made. So awesome. All right, that's nice and melty. Now we'll put the rest in. Okay. And melt that down too. And once we have everything in, we'll taste it. We'll see if it needs any more salt. Obviously the cheese, that's why I only put a teaspoon in this whole big batch, because you're going to make about, you know, 4 to 6 servings, I guess, depending on how big your bowls are, of this soup. I would say 6, but you know, whatever you guys want to eat. But this cheese also has salt, right, in it. It's part of the process. And so I just always err on the side of a little bit less in the beginning. You could always add more, hard to take away. Okay. All right. Now we're really cheesing it up in here, guys. Look how awesome that looks. So good. Okay, and the carrots almost like looks like cheese, right? Like the shredded carrots kind of looks like a little shredded cheddar on top. And you could save a little bit if you want to, like sprinkle on top like a little bit extra cheddar, just for like, you know, if you're serving it to friends and family. But we don't need to be that fancy today. All right, let's see. Oh my goodness. Perfect, just the way it is. Don't need any salt, any more salt. Definitely worth every minute of waiting for those veggies to cook. Oh, look at that. So creamy, so delish. I'm gonna take one more bite and get a little bit of broccoli in there. For sure, guys. So good. You still have a little bit of the bite of the broccoli in there. You're not like, you don't want to be super mushy, right? A little bit. It's a great dish on a cozy, wintry day like it is today. To stay nice and warm. I hope it fills your bellies. I hope you love it. If you do, let me know in the comments. And like and subscribe to the channel for more recipes like this. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.